For months, we have reported on COVID-19 from the outside, the spike in numbers, the death toll, the orders from lawmakers, and the economic devastation. Now we take you inside to the front lines, to the first and sometimes the last line of defense. This is an inside look at the ICU at Swedish American and one of our heroes battling the most intense virus of our generation. This is the battle.
How much O2?
Fought inside the walls of the ICU at Swedish American.
Like 20% or less who need to be in the hospital. And from those in the hospital, some of them end up in our unit.
A battle against COVID-19 fought inside a patient.
Every day, almost every hour is a little challenging because of the virus. It goes from one extreme to the next.
One of the many fighters in this battle, Dr. Stratton.
That's why this becomes a problem.
A pulmonary critical care doctor.
We support them until their body recover from that virus.
Each patient has a different battle, but the same virus inside of them.
They worsen rapidly. COVID patients worsen rapidly.
Their tallies on the windows show how long.
Day 25 in the vent. We're not sure if this guy gonna make it or not. He's not improving yet, despite everything we have.
A number each patient doesn't know, and each doctor and nurse does not want to see increase. Sometimes it's a losing battle against a virus that has already done damage.
If he dies, I hope not, but if he dies because of the complication of the virus, not with the virus itself. His lungs were kind of trashed. We're trying to clean up after the virus. This is a problem. And being on the vent this long is a problem.
It's also a changing battle.
In 1 month or 2 months, the whole practice guidelines changed, which put a lot of burden on staff, hospital supplies.
That hospital workers are learning as the virus develops, changing their battle plans.
It did increase a lot of challenges, of course. I mean, the workload is a lot higher than before. The degree of sickness is much more complicated than before.
Each time Dr. Zeter or any nurse goes in, a new set of PPE.
You change gown between rooms.
The special helmet seals off his face and pushes air out the back.
And we have young people, 21 on the vent, and we have 90 years old.
Because of COVID-19, Swedish American added 10 more beds to its ICU, and at one point, 24 of 40 patients were on ventilators. But Dr. Zeter hopes this is the peak, and he is seeing patients recover. Patients like Tasha.
She's off the ventilator. She is making progress. She's got a long journey ahead.
After more than a month at Swedish American, she is recovering.
Getting back to her new normal, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be a journey.
Other patients also winning the battle, like here in room 209.
This guy has no prior medical problem except nasal allergy, which we all have. No diabetes, no hypertension, but he got a bad infection. He was in the vent for 21 days. He's extubated now. He's confused, of course, but he's just on oxygen under his nose.
Room 211, a 79-year-old who received the first dose of remdesivir at Swedes, an experimental drug that seems to be working in COVID-19 patients.
We have to use it wisely in a way, so we use it for the one who would not survive without it.
Swedes only received enough to treat a few of them.
We're not going to use it for non-ventilated patients, because we have short supplies.
Others are treated with convalescent plasma from patients who have recovered from COVID-19.
We try to use it as early as possible, as soon as possible, regardless of sick or not.
Tools to fight the battle.
Hello?
An interior battle.
Making progress.
A battle they are pushing to win inside the bodies of these patients and the walls of the last line of defense.
I'm hoping, my prayer, hopefully, this is not going to worse than this.
We start with a deadly weekend in Rockford.
A man is killed overnight in Rockford.
And a murder investigation is underway.
We hear it often.
Was shot here.
He was shot multiple times.
Where he later died from his injuries.
We report it often.
No suspects have been named at this time.
In fact, in 2020, we've had 27 of these. 27 murders.
Police are still looking for suspects.
18 of them unsolved. To put that into perspective, flip a coin. You have a better chance of getting away with murder this year in Rockford than you do predicting heads or tails. Right now, just 1 in 3 are solved. Why?
Watch my son take his last breath. It's gonna always be in my head.
Ask Pamela Whiteside why.
But I know the public, family, social, so-called friends know what happened. I wish they come forward.
Her son Jarvis Wilder shot and killed in 2018. 2 years later, still no charges. 3 people were in the car when Wilder was shot right here. They dropped him off at Swedish American and ran.
She said the last word my son said on the way to the hospital, she said, "We getting close. Hold on, we getting close." And she said, he just, "Mom," he said,
Ask Rockford Police Chief Dan O'Shea why. How many of them would you say are not solved because people aren't coming forward?
I would venture to guess all of them, but I don't know off the top of my head. But the vast majority of them are strictly because people aren't coming forward.
But Chief O'Shea does know why people don't come forward, especially this year.
Their only mentality is, you shot at us, we're shooting at you. You killed him, we're going to kill one of you.
Is this a gang war at this point?
It is a war between 2 factions that just can't get along.
That war, along with the pandemic and lack of trust in police, is why the solve rate is so low this year, according to O'Shea.
But I was real proud and very happy at Rockford, for Rockford. 2017, 18, and 19, we continued. I can't tell you how many public outreach programs, I mean, you've seen what we've done. And in 2020, we haven't been able to do any of them.
This year, the murder solve rate, or number of murders where someone is charged, just 1 in 3. Since 2010, 231 people have been murdered in the city of Rockford. To this day, 91 of them remain unsolved. Break that down year by year in the last decade, and 2020 has both the highest number of murders and by far the most unsolved.
We have an overwhelming number of individuals that absolutely, unequivocally refuse to provide any information to the police.
Without cooperation, charging someone with murder becomes increasingly difficult.
This isn't CSI. We can't put up big digital walls and move things around like Tony Stark. That's not reality. We can't solve murders in an hour.
If someone does come forward, they can be protected to a point.
It can be very intimidating. They could be ostracized. They could be targeted by other individuals who don't want them to come forward.
State's Attorney Marilyn Hyde-Ross says Winnebago County does not have a designated witness protection program for people who report crimes, but they do what they can to protect them and relocate them, though her office says it does not keep track of the number of people it has relocated or helped.
So obviously, you can't force anyone to cooperate.
Another reason why.
Because you can't force someone to give you the information that they have.
But Hyde-Ross does believe the job is getting done, even though the numbers this year are so low.
I think that we are successful in doing our job and getting justice for murder victims.
Yet people like Pamela Whiteside haven't seen justice for years and wonder if they ever will.
my son, he wasn't the perfect one here in the world, but he still was mine, and his life didn't have to lose like that.
Today may look like a normal day for Betty Durham.
You can't go anywhere or do anything, not even church, so.
She's alone today, and she's spent most of the last year like this. No family on Easter, none on Thanksgiving. She spent Christmas waving from her front door.
Nobody can come, you can't go. The only thing you have is a telephone.
But what looks like a normal day for Betty is also the day Betty can start to return to normal. Why?
His last name?
Betty Durham.
Because she's getting her second COVID-19 vaccine. She's above the age of 65, which puts her in the Phase 1B category in Illinois, though getting this appointment was tough.
I don't do the computer, so my daughter had to do it, and she was on it for weeks trying to get the appointment.
While it may be our first major pandemic, well, it's not hers. She was in the hospital in nurses training at Cleveland City Hospital during our last massive nationwide pandemic, polio.
We had a contagion hospital there, and it was full of polio patients. We had many, many, many polio patients, young people.
And just like that one ended with a vaccine,
Sugar cubes came first. That was fun.
this one does the same.
I'm just going to be glad to get it over with.
Because today is not a normal day for Betty Durham.
Oh, you've done this before.
I have a couple of times.
It's a special day for her.
The main thing is that maybe I can see my family.
And for me.
You are my grandson.
Since the pandemic started, 536 people have died in our area to COVID-19. Think about that number, 536. It's a number that we report almost daily, and it will surely grow. But each of those numbers is a person, not just a person, a family member, a friend, a loved one, and so many other things gone. We tried our best to honor each and every one of them who left this earth due to the virus. And though this story likely comes up short, this is a tribute to those we lost. These are the faces of lives well lived and stories well remembered, all taken by a virus that we didn't even know about the last time they gathered around the Christmas tree with their families. Jack Beyer loved Christmas.
He'd wrap the presents really neatly, like a masterpiece, but he would decorate the house real nice and all the lights outside and have him play the music.
A loving father to his son Jeff, a jokester to his grandkids, a Vietnam vet, and a guy you just couldn't miss.
He was one of a kind. He would do anything for anybody.
He passed November 10th after contracting COVID-19. Just a day later, we lost Fred Saunders. His daughter Pam and other family members could not properly say goodbye.
When you can't even talk to them, I think that's really hard.
Fred, like Jack, a Mr. Fix-It guy who at one point owned his own Christmas tree lot.
He's just continually one of those guys that always has to be making something.
Those maker hands and not quitting on a job are what Fred, known as Bucko to his grandkids, is known for.
He's just left that legacy of, just working very hard.
Just a day after Fred, we lost Charlie Dyer, who, like many in our area that COVID took, spent his final years in a long-term care facility.
Anything you said, he could turn it into a joke.
Charlie, an Army vet and proud grandfather, had a kind heart.
He's pretty much known for making a friend with anybody.
We lost Brian Smith October 28th at the age of 60. His life partner, Teresa, wanted him honored and remembered. The Packers fan enjoyed gardening and cooking in his free time. And if you've ever watched a high school football game in Rockford, you've likely seen Coach Steve Rosa.
His toughness and his way of teaching football, I don't think goes out of style.
Before he passed, Coach taught offensive linemen in the trenches at Christian Life, Jefferson, and Rockford Lutheran.
As a friend, Coach is that gruff dude. He's going to tell it how it is.
Softball players across the state line remember Tim Parrish. The Illinois Hall of Fame stat keeper is known for his work on the softball diamond and on the basketball court.
He was just a really loyal friend. We had some great times together at the state tournament. We go down to the state basketball tournament every year. He was one of those guys, he wanted to see everybody succeed.
Chuck Purin helped young people succeed on the golf course.
He always had a smile on his face, took care of people.
The Rockford Park District volunteers spent thousands of hours helping kids craft their game.
If I can reach one child and change their life through golf and the characteristics that are involved with golf and life, then I would feel that good job, Lloyd. And I say to Chuck, good job, Chuck. We'll miss you.
Just a few days after we lost Chuck, Rockford lost another community servant in James DeVoe.
He had a passion for youth, underserved youth. James started the teaching gardens, and he used those youth in the gardens, and then also when we had community cleanups.
DeVoe was the founder of the West Gateway Coalition and helped countless kids and neighbors in need on Rockford's west side. On the other side of town, Tony Artale owned a wine shop with his son. It's through that shop that he donated to local charities with wines and events. The comments and calls flowed into the store when he was taken at the end of November.
If you take the time to read through all of those comments, you'll get an idea of who he was and how many lives he's touched. It was pretty amazing. So many people thought he was a great guy.
That same caring nature pumped through Kenneth Boswell, one of the first we lost to COVID this year.
And he's been nothing but the best husband a person can have. He's been the best father, best friend.
His wife Gianna said goodbye to him in early April.
Because of him is who I am today. My life completely changed when I met him.
Andrew Murray's wife Tony would say the same thing about him.
We were married just shy of 49 years.
That marriage ended in mid-October when COVID took the dedicated volunteer to too many places to count.
You know, we embraced this community. We love this county.
It's that love for our community that we will miss the most about each and every one of these people. We leave this final photo blank for the hundreds of people in our rising death numbers that we didn't cover. Consider this their tribute, our tribute to a life well lived, taken too soon. And those were just some of the faces we lost to COVID-19. If you have a family member or a friend that you want remembered, email us a photo, name, and a short message to news@wrex.com. In just the last few days, about a dozen more family members reached out to us wanting their loved ones remembered. Though they weren't in that news story, you can still find them on wrex.com and right here. Virtually every state health department and the CDC suggest that you wear a mask when you cannot social distance. But why wear one? Simply put, wearing a mask stops the spread of COVID-19. The virus lives in droplets in those who are infected, both with symptoms and asymptomatic carriers. Without a mask, your droplets travel far, up to 6 feet when talking, even farther when coughing or sneezing, and more than 20 feet when singing. Put a mask on, the droplets are forced to stay close to you. They may float a couple of feet from your face, but eventually die off and fall to the ground. So if you and everyone else at, say, the supermarket have one on, everyone is protected. So what kind should you wear? The three main kinds of masks are an N95 mask, a surgical mask, and a homemade cloth one. First, N95 masks are used in the hospital, doctor's offices, nursing homes, and more. These are the masks that keep out and keep you from spreading the most particles. But the CDC suggests that you do not wear these masks in public because they are critical for healthcare workers and other first responders. Next, a surgical mask, also used in the hospital, but much easier for anyone to purchase. They do provide a barrier between you and others, but do not provide full protection from viruses like COVID-19. And finally, a cloth mask or bandana, the least effective, but still effective, according to the CDC. Multiple clinical lab studies show that these masks do work. They provide safety for you and others around you by keeping droplets in. They should and are required to be worn when you cannot keep a safe social distance, especially right here in Illinois. So no matter which mask you choose, you should cover both your nose and your mouth with it. A mask and 6 feet of social distancing are our only ways to fight COVID-19, both here in Rockford and across our globe. For your 13 Weather Authority, I'm James Stratton, 13 News.
Best is like right now, no wind at all.
We all have our...
It's my happy place.
But this is also a happy day.
I'm happy so far. I got up this morning.
For Bruce Cundy.
Go upstream for a while. Today's my birthday, August 19, 1936, so I'm 84 years old.
And still doing what makes him happy right here in his happy place.
It's like golfing. You mean you're still golfing? Well, yeah, I'm still skiing.
But it's what he did at 83 at the 2020 U.S. Water Ski Nationals that people are still talking about.
All right, here we go. Now, here comes Bruce Cundy. He's fallen on his first two attempts. Come on, yeah!
I jumped 3 times, and the last one I skied away and got 89 feet, so I broke my own record, so it's a national tournament record.
Woo! There you go, buddy.
If one national record wasn't enough, Cundy has a few more.
No, I've got records from men's 7, which is 65 to 70, and records in 70 to 75, and 75 to 80, and now 80 to 85.
Let's see what he's got, Bruce Cundy.
I don't practice. I practice cutting a lot. We call it rotations. And as I say, the big thing is you got to have all your stuff together as you hit the bottom of the ramp.
He's lived through bumps, bruises, broken bones, and even a triple bypass.
And my son says, "I thought you were going to die, Dad." And I said, well, I kind of didn't know what I was doing.
Though he doesn't bring it up now.
8 years? 6 years?
Yeah.
I guess I wanted to forget it.
His flying through the air has landed him on TV, newspapers, and even in Sports Illustrated.
He's 20 years older than me, 20 or 18 or 17, and it's just that same old adage, you know, if he can do it, I can do it.
The can-do attitude is why some are so attracted to ski with him and to see him compete.
I told everybody at the dock, we got to have fun out. This is just, you know, just amateur skiing. It's not we're making any money, we're spending money.
So as he celebrates a happy 84th birthday.
Like a lot of people say to me, Bruce, you're just awesome. I say, awesome's okay, but I want to become epic.
We'll see what he can do at this age.
So 27 meters exactly.
Well, my record right now is 100 in this division, so I got 1 year now to break it.